Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I just had like the biggest urge to just film for the day, like a daily vlog, so that is what we're gonna do. It is just Sunday, like it is honestly just a really chill day. It's pretty gloomy outside. Jamsha's already gone out to do his weekly shop, but because I'm actually going away this week, which I will be vlogging as well, I didn't need to do a weekly shop for myself until next weekend. So yeah, I just had a nice slow morning, had some breakfast, listened to a new podcast that I'm really enjoying. The podcast is called As the Season Turns, and it's basically 2 episodes a month, so not too many. They do kind of like a monthly summary of like what to expect throughout the month in terms of like nature, weather, the moon cycle, the ocean, what you can see in your garden, like what you can see in nature in general. It's just the most calming thing. A lot of it is folklore based, so if you like or are into anything to do with folk tales and history very much rooted in nature, then I think you'd really like this podcast. But yeah, it's just so calming, and I fell asleep to it last night and then I listened to a bit more of it this morning. It was just the loveliest way to wake up this morning with a cup of tea. So yeah, I'm so glad that I found that podcast. But anyway, to get into what we're doing today, it is really quite grey outside. So yeah, we don't have any like massive plans today, but we do plan on going to the charity shop because I've specifically got loads of clothes to donate, just stuff that I don't wear so much anymore, and also a ton of books to unhaul that I want to give to charity. These 2 piles over here are for my Vinted, so I've actually started selling some books on Vinted, especially my kind of special editions, a lot of Illuma Crate books that I don't plan on reading or rereading, and then also just a bunch of like nice hardcovers and like signed editions and stuff. So if you wanted to give it a browse, I'm gonna link it below because there are a lot of good books that I just like don't personally want to keep them anymore, and I feel like they'll go to people that really appreciate them and love them. So yeah, that's been going well. I've already sent off a couple of books and I've got one more book to send off in the post tomorrow morning before I head to the countryside. But yeah, because it's Sunday today, I can't go to the post office and do that. So yeah, we're gonna give a bunch of books to charity instead. I am just gonna quickly go through some of the books just to give you guys an idea of like which books I'm unhauling and why. The first book that I'm going to be giving to charity is Lemon by Kwon Yo-sun, and this is a book that I read a couple of years ago and I did really enjoy it at the time, but it wasn't anything mind-blowing. It was very reflective and like a very specific writing style that I do like but I don't love, and so it's not one that I'm ever going to reread, and it's not even one that I'm going to like recommend. So there's really no point me keeping this one, even though it wasn't taking up too much space on the shelves. I kind of have started to be a little bit more cutthroat with my book collection. And then the next one is a very similar reason. I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I listened to the audiobook for this one, which is fantastic, and I really recommend the audiobook, and for that reason I'm never gonna pick this up. Like if I ever did want to reread it, I'd just listen to it. I think I have a feeling whoever picks this up is gonna really enjoy it just like I did. I do have a couple of Neil Gaiman books that I will be getting rid of. These books I would never reread anyway. I much prefer the movie adaptations of both of them, but just given what's come out about the author recently, these aren't 2 books that like I am really fond of and want to keep. The whole thing has left a massive sour taste in my mouth, and yeah, if I ever want to consume these stories again, I will be just watching the movies. This next one is a book that I promised myself that I would unhaul if I didn't read it in December, and that is Winter in Sokcho by Lisa Duchapan. If you guys watched my December TBR last month, then you will know that I promised to get rid of this if I didn't read it. There are certain books on my shelves where I feel like there's a time limit, and if I just keep putting them off and putting them off, it's because I genuinely don't want to read them and they just don't intrigue me at all. And I think I purely got it because of the hype, but then ended up hearing a bunch of bad things about it. So yeah, I was definitely put off, rightly or wrongly. One that I bought basically just for the cover was The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I think this is a Kiwi author and it's historical fiction, but it is so long and so intimidating that I just never picked it up. I didn't want to just keep it because I love the cover so much. It is one of my favorite covers ever, but that is just not good enough of a reason to keep it. So yeah, I think understandably I need to give it back to charity. This was one that I actually picked up in a charity shop 4 years ago now. 4 years is definitely long enough to know if I want to read a book or not. Don't hate me for this one, but One Day by David Nichols, I've just realised through reading similar romances recently that I'm just not a fan of such a slow burn romance. Maybe with the exception of Normal People, to be fair. I love slow burn romance, but I can't have it set over decades and decades. I've watched the show. I feel like because I know the story so well, I watched the movie originally with Anne Hathaway as well. It's just not going to be an enjoyable one for me. Another romance that I'm going to be getting rid of, this one I did actually read, Book Clubs by Emily Henry. It was one of my Patreon book club books back at the beginning when I had Patreon. If any of you guys are around from back then, you'll know that I did not get along with this book. I gave it, I think, 2.5 stars. At the beginning I was really enjoying the dynamic between them, but I just got so bored. I did not really buy the romance. I just wasn't invested, and at the end of the day it just wasn't for me. I definitely want to try another Emily Henry, so let me know which one I should try if I didn't like this one. I have a good feeling about Happy Place, so I might start there. And then I've just got a couple of graphic novel and manga that I want to get rid of. I read both of these, they were super cute, but I'm just not going to reread them and I don't need to keep them. So I think that's all the ones that I'm going to show you. I have so many more, but yeah, my reason for getting rid of the rest is just because like I'm not sure about them, or again I've read them but I just don't want to keep hold of them, so I'll just sound like a broken record if I keep going. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that little unhaul. Hopefully the rest of the vlog won't be so negative. So yeah, I think I'm gonna get these bagged up now and head to the charity shop. I will definitely take you guys with me. You can come along and just like hang out with me for the whole day, and we're gonna be doing some reading later. The world's our oyster. Hello everyone, it is a little bit later. We got back from the charity shop and we managed to drop off everything. There was so much stuff that I was worried that they wouldn't take every single thing that we had, but yeah, it just genuinely feels like a weight's been lifted, so I'm so glad we got that ticked off the list. And then we just had lunch, so now it's early afternoon and I don't know if we're gonna go out again to go to a cafe, just because after having lunch neither of us is actually craving going to a cafe. So instead I think I'm just gonna settle down on the couch and read, just because it is the perfect day for it. So just a quick update on what I'm reading. I'm currently in the middle of 2 books and I haven't finished a book in well over a week. So that is kind of my main priority today, just to get through my TBR a little bit. So I'm currently over 100 pages into Lightlark now. I'm midway through a chapter, I don't know how that happened. So I'm on chapter 16, which is called Shadows, and I'm so into this now. I'm enjoying it so much. I don't know why I haven't picked this up more, because every time I pick it up I get so invested, and I feel like this will be a great one to just sit on the couch and read, like binge read this afternoon. So if you didn't know, this is a YA series. Our main character Isla is basically the ruler of one region in this land, and the name Lightlark comes from this island that basically opens. It's kind of concealed behind mist most of the time, but it reappears every 100 years for what's called the Centennial, which is basically kind of a battle between the rulers of each realm. If one of the rulers wins the Centennial, it means that they get the curse lifted off all their people, but that actually hasn't happened yet historically. It just hasn't happened. So every single realm has been cursed, and the curses kind of depend on where you're from and what your original powers were. So it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. So for example, the sunlings, they can control fire and light and heat, but they can't actually go in the sun. They'll literally burn up in the sunlight. So it's actually horrific, and there are worse ones than that as well. Like one realm, you won't make it beyond your 25th birthday, for example. So anyway, our main character is basically competing to try and lift the curse off her people. I'm pretty sure if one of the rulers dies, their entire realm is dead as well, which is really high stakes. So it's kind of like a high stakes fantasy, but at the same time there's like romance and friendship and mystery to it. I really enjoyed this book. I know that the next 2 books in the series have like received a lot of flack, but I think I'm gonna give them a go just because I'm enjoying this so much. I am a little bit nervous, but it's not taking away from the enjoyment of this book. So yeah, I'm probably going to pick this up, but just to let you know what I'm reading on my Kindle, I'm currently on the 2nd book of the Hercule Poirot series. This one's called The Murder on the Links and it's set in France. It definitely is not capturing the same kind of whimsy and the classic murder mystery from the first book. It's definitely making me appreciate the first book a lot more, which I actually gave 3 stars. But yeah, this is just not the same. You don't have this big cast of characters. It's much more about Poirot's relationship with the police in France. But it is intriguing because it's about a man who writes to Poirot, and he basically asks Poirot to come down to France to see him because what he has to say he can't put down in writing. So it's super intriguing, and then when Poirot actually arrives at this man's manor house, he's found dead. So yeah, it's a really good, strong premise, but I'm just not enjoying it as much just because, like I said, that lack of like a cast of close-knit characters. What I love about a mystery is kind of the relationships between the key players, and I'm just not getting that so far with this one. It might turn around, but to be honest with you, let me check how far into it I am. Okay, yeah, so I'm 20% into this one. Like I said earlier, I am going away this week, so I'm definitely going to take my Kindle with me and potentially read this like on the train to my parents' house. it is a few days later and I've spent some time at my parents' house since the beginning of this vlog. I was there for a few days to spend time with my mum because she had an operation last week, and it wasn't like a really major operation, but I just thought that she might need some help around the house, especially with the dogs. So I ended up spending a few days there, and she was honestly a lot better than I thought she would be. So really it was like any other time, except we did just chill a bit more together and we watched Traitors and ended up bird watching like the whole week. I feel like I've developed a new hobby with bird watching. So for the last couple of times going down to see my parents, I've ended up just paying much more attention to the birds on the bird feeders in my parents' garden, and honestly they get the most majestic birds, including a great spotted woodpecker and a nuthatch, just much cooler birds than I get to see here in London. So I was literally glued to that window with my binoculars and my bird book, just enjoying watching the world go by and the birds feeding. It's really sweet actually as well, because the two labs, they actually end up bird watching, and I did get a video of one of them, Willow. She was next to me on the couch bird watching. I know it's because she probably wants to go out and catch them, but anyway, I ended up rigging my camera up on the tree because I was trying to film from inside the house and it was just really bad quality and I couldn't get quite close enough to the birds to kind of show you guys properly. So I ended up doing this on the tree outside where the bird feeders are hanging off of. I filmed across 2 days, so the weather changes and the angle changes a little bit, but my main goal was to get the woodpecker on camera, and I did manage it. So I just thought I would show you guys and identify the birds as I go. If I made any mistakes, please let me know, because I'm definitely not a seasoned bird watcher, but I'm pretty sure I identified all the birds correctly. I'll put timestamps down below if you want to skip it, but I personally find it really interesting, so I hope that some of you guys will too. So yeah, without further ado, enjoy the birds. So that is just a fraction of the time I spent watching the birds. I think my personal favourite, other than the woodpecker, is probably the long-tailed tit, because they are so cute. They kind of look like little badgers. I just think they look like Pokemon. But yeah, that is all the footage that I got at my parents' house. I didn't actually vlog because I just wanted to spend time with my mum, but I did get some reading done, so I thought that I'd give you guys a couple of last reading updates before I wrap up the vlog. I'm now on page 326 of Lightlark, so I haven't quite finished it, but I do have under 100 pages left, so we're really getting there now, and I will be spending the next hour or so just finishing this. Something really shocking has just happened, and I do have some theories. I might be totally barking up the wrong tree, but I've just had a bit of an inkling and a suspicion. I could be really wrong, but I will let you guys know if I'm right. I obviously can't tell you what my theory is in case any of you haven't read this but want to read it. But yeah, there's been a couple of shocking plot twists, and also potentially the introduction of a love triangle that I'm not massively fond over. Genuinely not into it because I was so into what was happening originally. Also, I feel like this book could totally be a standalone. I don't really understand what the next 2 books are going to be about. I think the threat is going to be way bigger than we thought, and the Centennial is like just the start of it. But genuinely, I feel like this could have been a standalone if the author wanted that to happen. But I've also heard that it's not just going to be a trilogy now, that it's potentially going to have 5 books. I don't know what I've just got myself in for if that's the case. But yeah, I'm going to get cozy on the couch. I'm going to get some ambience on. I'm going to get myself a nice hot drink and finish this book. I feel like it will only take me about an hour, so I will finish it quickly and be right back to give you guys my final thoughts. Hi guys, it has been just a couple of hours and I am now finished with Lightlark, and I need the second book in my hand straight away because that ending was just twist after turn and so much happened. I got one massive thing right. The thing that I mentioned earlier, my theory, was absolutely correct. I didn't know why, but I just had a massive hunch about this particular character and I'm so happy that I'm right. Maybe because I've been watching traitors recently, I'm just really good at sussing people. Anyway, obviously there were certain parts about this book, kind of bearing in mind what I said earlier as well, that I am not happy with the way it ended. I don't know whether to have faith in the rest of the series that it will actually end up the way I want. I have a feeling it will, so I definitely will continue in the series. But yeah, I need to go straight on to, is it Nightbane? Yeah, Nightbane. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I think it's kind of like a 3.5, 3.75 rounded up to 4, just because there were so many moments in this book that I feel like the author didn't take like full advantage of. So there was a ball scene and I feel like all of us love those kind of scenes in fantasy books. I mean, I especially love them so much, but I feel like it wasn't used to its full extent. It would have been so good to like amp up the drama and like the angst, but at the same time I do feel like I enjoyed the vast majority of this book, and also the ending was so satisfying. I feel like we got just as many questions as we did answers, which I actually really like because it's making me want to read the next book. I feel like we've ended the vlog on a really satisfying note, finishing a book. I think the next vlog might be my birthday trip because it's my birthday on the 2nd of Feb. We are going away for the weekend to the countryside and we're going to be in a little kind of like lodge. Anyway, I'll take you guys with us and show you because it just looks so cute on Airbnb. We're gonna have like a little fire. I'm gonna take my books, get some binoculars for bird watching. But yeah, I think that might be the next vlog, so I'll see you guys then. Bye.